Well. Look at what we have here. We got a new deputy sheriff in town at Oklahoma. That's right. They just hired a new offensive coordinator in Brian Arbuckle from Washington State, also formerly of Western Kentucky, which were two highly prolific offenses. Some Oklahoma fans are happy, and some of them not so happy. My boy Killer Breeze may have said it best, and this was sort of like a mid-hire. What do you all think about this? Let's talk about it. Here we go, riding in once again. It's the Outlaw Posse. Now, in effect, in today's Four Horsemen shout-outs go to Corrections 101, Tatted Sailor, Tim Gillespie, and Brad Friend are mounted up, saddled up, and ready to go. And they're going to help us with today's college football invasion. Also, if you have any ideas for the show, as well as maybe you want to be a guest on the show, because this is the home of the Common Joe and the Common Sally in the Know, even more so than all the media talking heads. And we can chat it up and see if you are going to be comfortable being on the show, and I'll have you on the show. Just look me up on Twitter, aka X, at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it here, seems like Oklahoma has made their hire at offensive coordinator. And as I said earlier in the lead up, some Oklahoma fans are happy, some Oklahoma fans not so much. Like I said before, my boy Killer Breeze feels like it was a mid-hire. And from the way he uses the word mid in context in his sentence, it seems like maybe a lot of Oklahoma fans are underwhelmed by this hire, that maybe it was just a low-ball hire of some sort. Now, I looked at Brian Arbuckle's stats, and he's actually got a pretty good record. Let's bring that up real quick, and then we're going to bring up other coordinators that they could have went with, because while Oklahoma may not be the richest program, they do have a little bit of money themselves, as well as the NIL collective. Now, I've heard that some coaches have been using their NIL collective monies instead of getting players. They've been going out and hiring big-name coordinators, like Ohio State did when Ryan Day hired Chip Kelly from UCLA. Maybe Oklahoma could have done that. But let's check out the new hire that Oklahoma did get. Here it is. It says 29-year-old Arbuckle. Oklahoma lands one of the country's top offensive coordinators and play callers. Washington State finished 12th nationally in scoring this year, number 9 in passing efficiency, and number 22 in total offense. That's pretty good. The Cougars had success with quarterback John Mateer, as he threw for 3,139 yards and 29 touchdowns. Mateer is a sophomore from Little Elm, Texas, who would have high-profile options if he were to enter the transfer portal. I don't know why they even mentioned that, man. I hate them even talking about that, putting in the boy's mind, putting a seed in there. We need to start having contracts. Another topic for another day. Last season under Arbuckle, Cam Ward threw for 3,735 yards. And then I guess he transferred to Miami. In Arbuckle, Oklahoma gets a precocious offensive play caller who previously served as a co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky had quarterback Austin Reed, who led the nation in passing, but 4,746 yards. So they asked him what kind of offense he would run, and he said, "I've always played to the strength of my personnel. The personnel drives the scheme," he said. There have been years where the best thing for the team to be successful was throwing the ball a lot. And there's been years where the best thing for the team was to do is establish the line of scrimmage and get the ball rolling. So that's a little snippet of what Oklahoma has invested their money in. What I really liked out of that article is that he said that he does not have a specific offense that he's married to, which I think is a good thing. Reminds me a lot of a guy by the name of Lane Kiffin, one of the most creative offensive play callers of all time. As you know, when Lane Kiffin was at Alabama, he had a few players that were lacking somewhat as far as star quarterback qualities go. And he basically tailored the offense to their strengths. Great coordinators can do that because sometimes you can't get the prototype player that you want for a certain offense. So you have to be able to adapt. And to me, it sounds like Brian Arbuckle can adapt to whoever his personnel is, and I think that is a positive for Oklahoma fans going forward. So I think it might have been actually a pretty good hire. At first, I thought it might have been a mid-hire, like Killer said, but now that I look at his stats and the rundown of his profile, it looks like it might actually end up being a decent hire. But there were some bigger names out there, some bigger fish that maybe Oklahoma could have went after, and then maybe people wouldn't feel like they got lowballed somewhat. Let's check those out right now. This here is a list of the top 25 offensive coordinators going into the season. Joe Sloan from LSU, I don't think y'all could have got him. I mean, it would have been a lateral move for him. Zach Kittley of Texas Tech, maybe y'all could have looked at Zach Kittley, but I don't think that would have been a great hire, in my opinion. Jeff Grimes from Kansas. Yes, they're in a Power 4 conference, but Oklahoma has more money than Kansas. Now, Kansas started out slow this year, but they come on like gangbusters and knocked off about 3 ranked teams before they finally succumbed to Baylor to knock themselves out of bowl eligibility. Probably the best 5-7 team in the nation in Kansas. Jeff Grimes, I think, would have been a good guy that they could have went after. Casey Woods of SMU. I think that Oklahoma probably has a little bit more money than SMU. Maybe they could have looked at Casey Woods. Maybe they could have lured him to Oklahoma. Then you have Nick Sheridan of Alabama, and that's a no-go. Mark Leftwich of Texas State. He would have been in the same mold as Brian Arbuckle, even more so being a mid-hire. So that wouldn't have appeased y'all either. Jakes, I can't even say the dude's last name. The Baylor offensive coordinator has actually turned Baylor's offense around somewhat this year. I think Oklahoma would probably be more of a alluring job for the guy at Baylor as well. Y'all could have went after him. Eric Bieniemy of UCLA. He moved from the NFL to college football. UCLA's offense was sort of dreary at the beginning of the season. It came on late, so maybe could have given him a look. I don't know. Colin Klein at Texas A&M, that's a no-go. Too much money at Texas A&M. Dirk Coder at Boise State. That's a possibility. Boise State's offense has been pretty productive, although they've had Ashton Genty basically doing all the work. Dirk Coder he's been around a little while. So if you're going for the experience level, Dirk Coder may have been an offensive coordinator that Oklahoma could have looked at. Tim Cramsey of Memphis, that would have been sort of a mid-hire once again. You're probably not going to get some of these offensive coordinators that you want because they're at much bigger schools that would be a lateral hire. But there are some on here that would have probably been more of a splash hire than Brian Arbuckle. So I can see some of the angst that some of the Oklahoma fans may be feeling. Move on down here. Andy Ludwig at Utah. I don't know about that one. Garrett Riley of Clemson. Probably too much money at Clemson and would have been a lateral move. Moving on down here. Kirby Moore at Missouri. Now, Missouri's offense has looked good off and on this year. And it would have been a really good poking eye from Oklahoma, Missouri coming into the SEC with and being a conference rival with Missouri once again. That they went over and took Missouri's offensive coordinator. That would have actually been pretty funny. Charlie Weiss Jr. at Ole Miss. I think Oklahoma probably does have a little bit more money than Ole Miss. They may have been able to lure Charlie Weiss over there. He's been tutelaged under the great Lane Kiffin. So that might have been somebody that y'all could have maybe threw some of that NIL collective money at. Moving on down here, the ones I'm moving past, I don't think y'all have a chance at. Warren Ruggiero of Wake Forest. Wake Forest's offense has always been pretty prolific since he's been there. They're not as prolific this year, but the overall picture of Warren Ruggiero is very positive. So y'all could have went after him. So that was a few of the offensive coordinators that I saw on there. Now, another guy that was mentioned by a few people, including Killer Breeze, was Joe Craddock at Tulane. He's been a pretty good offensive coordinator for Tulane. Tulane's offenses have been pretty prolific the last year or so. And he was really good at Troy State as well here in Alabama. So there's just a few of the coordinators that Oklahoma could have thrown some big money at that may have appeased those fans that wanted a big splashy hire. But in the end, I think, my opinion is, after looking at all of it, I think that Brian Arbuckle may be a decent hire, and that Oklahoma's they might as well get used to it anyway because they've already hired a guy. And I think that given the chance, he gets a fair shake. If they don't try to keep some of the good old boys hired, like I've been hearing they might, like Joe John Finley, I think maybe they need to get rid of him too. If you're going to get rid of one of your co-offensive coordinators, then the other co-offensive coordinator may need to be let go too, just to get a fresh new start for the Oklahoma offense. And that's all I got to say about that. There's a little heart down here with a little money dollar sign in the middle. If you want to make a one-time donation to the program, smash that heart, throw a few dollars in the coffers. Help us keep the lights on. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. That's the big four, and they're all free, especially subscriptions and sharing. And if you want a little something extra, join the Outlaw Posse. It's $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. You'll get your badge. You'll be deputized. You'll get your random Four Horsemen shout-out, as well as possibly be the comment of the day. We haven't had a comment of the day in a few shows because the posse members out there, they're not really leaving comments. You're all watching my videos, which I appreciate. But we're going to have a comment of the day. I need you to comment. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.